What has changed with Astrologian and Dawntrail? Astrologians have gotten an almost complete rework to one of its fundamental systems, the cards, and outside of said cards
Okay, you're gonna explain
system, the foundation of its healing toolkit remains almost exactly the same, with no removals, even with skills like Sinistry making the cut into the next expansion. In this video, we'll be going over the changes coming to Astrologian in 7.0.
Before we go into this, is it thumbs up or thumbs down for Astro? Did you like the changes? Oh, thumbs middle. Okay.
Starting off, let's take a look into the new card system. At level 30, Astrologians will receive the abilities Astral Draw, Play 1, Play 2, and Play 3. 4 completely new abilities, and it seems that they will be replacing Draw, Redraw, Undraw, and Astrodyne in our keybind space, so make sure your hotbars are ready for them.
Okay, hold on.
When beginning an encounter, Astral Draw will always be the default ability, giving you a Balance, Arrow, Spire, and Lord of Crowns straight away, and once this ability is used, it will go on cooldown for 60 seconds and switch to Umbral Draw, which will then grant you a Spear, Bowl, Uwer, and Lady of Crowns upon its use.
Okay, so far my only complaint is the way you pronounced Uwer, dude. Now, you were trying so hard to not have an Uwu voice when you did it, and I could tell. You practiced saying this way so that you wouldn't have a cute Uwu voice. So, is this the 50-second countdown that people were talking about? So you're gonna like pop this and then fucking wait like 50 seconds? Oh, God. Dude, that's cringe, bro. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that PF is not going to do this shit. No. There used to be a 50-second macro, guys. I still have it. It's right here. The dream. Pulling in 50 second. Pulling in 30. 25 more seconds. 50. I'm not even kidding. No, it was a thing.
Once Umbral Draw is used, it will return back to Astral Draw, and the cycle will continue until you complete the encounter. When obtaining each set of cards, the Balance will always be a melee card, and the Spear will always be a ranged card. Now, what's
so every time you get a melee and a ranged. Oh, because that's what they said. They're going to get rid of RNG. So that's the get rid of RNG shit.
Really interesting is the way the other 4 enhancement cards work. When using Astral Draw, we'll obtain the Arrow and the Spire. The Arrow gives a healing increase via actions effect similar to Crisis or Protraction, and the Spire acts as a divine benison of sorts, putting out a barrier that absorbs damage up to 400 potency.
I mean, this is kind of cool, though. Is this not cool? Isn't this better than every card just doing the same thing? It's a lot less DPS. I mean, but you don't know that, though. Just because you don't get 2 DPS, like the Arrow and Spire aren't DPS cards, what if they just increase Astro's personal damage? Just because that these are not damage cards anymore doesn't mean that it's actually lower DPS in the grand scheme of things. Does that make sense?
These effects are different, however, when using Umbral Draw, as the Bull and Uwer do not give the same effects. The Bull will reduce damage taken on an individual by 10% for 15 seconds, and the Uwer will give the player a healing over time effect for 1000 potency. The addition of
Bull used to be like that. That's kind of cool they brought it back, man.
These cards essentially giving Astrologian access to a moderately weaker or potentially stronger version to the other healer's healing abilities. Not only is this a very interesting mechanic as each card is different mechanically, but I'm looking at this and all I can think of is like, what the fuck? Astrologian's single target toolkit is already absurd. They have 3 essential dignities, 2 celestial intersections, exaltation, and a ton of benefits from their already existing AoE toolkit, like Earthly Star, Collective Unconscious, and Celestial Opposition. And on top of all of this, they now have the effects listed above every 60 seconds. Not only this, but because they can
yes, isn't that crazy good? 3 EDs, 3 easy.
guarantee an extra defensive card every 60 seconds with the Bull and or Spire, depending on the draw used. This means they can cover 4 players for large AoE attacks like Nidhogg's Transition and or the Dynamis attacks in top, giving the party a much higher chance of succeeding if someone forgets mitigation. When looking at the Meteor Tour footage, it also seems that when queuing into an instance, you gain the effect of Astral Draw right away, which means our Umbral Draw will be played at 0 seconds. This is a big concern for Astros right now due to the fact that we will now be pulling melee cards and Lord of Crowns on our odd minute window. Why is this a potential issue? This is because when doing our 2-minute burst now, we have to delay our play in Minor Arcana until after we use Divination, which means we drift our draw further into the burst window, not only potentially drifting further and further as the encounter goes on, but also giving us less time to maximize on the range card that we draw.
Oh, so this could be something that they missed when they were like redesigning this shit. They probably didn't think about the drift then.
this information in mind to play for damage, it requires us to use Swiftcast or Lightspeed in our 2-minute windows, which just isn't great. The simple fix to this would just be having us start with Umbo Draw prepped and would solve a lot of these issues. Keep in mind, this isn't really a concern for casual or prog Astros, as you'll probably end up just playing 1 card a minute to play it safe, but really only affects the players looking to maximize the job's efficiency. Speaking about our 2-minute burst windows, players may be wondering where it stands, as we lost 2 cards every 2 minutes, one of them being on the odd minute, catching 6 GCDs and a variable amount of off GCDs depending on the job played on. We also lost 1 card every 2-minute window that's not only buffed multiplicatively due to the numerous buffs being played at that time, but also 6 GCDs generally under heavier potency attacks. In 7.0, Divination's duration was increased to 20 seconds, and players have also gotten more attacks to place in these 2-minute burst windows. This means players are not only going to be placing more under Divination, but also across the party you're looking at an average of 14 extra GCDs more or less compared to what we have now.
Yeah, and wouldn't that would make up, right, for those 2 cards. And also, jobs are going to have more to put in there as well.
Meaning, at worst, Astrologian's RDPS value will stay more or less the same, or it will only increase in Dawntrail. Moving on to new abilities Astrologians have obtained, at level 92, Astrologians will get a traded upgrade to Divination, which when used will become the new ability Oracle. Oracle is a 600 potency AoE attack on the target used on that has a radius of 5 yalms. Astrologian's burst AoE potential is already pretty massive with the inclusion of Earthly Star, Macrocosmos, and Lord of Crowns, and now with the inclusion of Oracle, meaning we'll be able to pump out over 1500 potency worth of AoE damage in just 1 GCD's worth of time. At level 94, Astrologians receive 2 traded upgrades, which are not only a cooldown reduction to Swiftcast, which lowers the recast time from 60 to 40 seconds, but also a potency upgrade through Magic Mastery, which increases the potency of Combust and Fall Malefic. What's interesting though is that Macrocosmos did not see an increase in potency, which means we'll lose damage for using it now, but I'm hoping this is just an oversight as—
Wait, what the fuck? Is this like a Lily situation? Yeah, this kind of thing, right? We don't actually know, because it could be wrong, because the tooltip is already fucked on Warrior, right? Yeah, so it's obvious that something's wrong.
Other jobs have had the same outcome. Moving on to level 96, Astrologians will obtain Aspected Helios Mastery, which will change the spell Aspected Helios to Helios Conjunction. It's important to note that the core function of this heal works the same, and it's just a minor increase in potency as only the heal over time portion was increased. This also means when under neutral sect, the shield portion remains the same as it is not increased as the on-hit cure potency has not gotten larger. Once we reach level 98, we'll gain Enhanced Essential Dignity 2, which will give us once again another charge to Essential Dignity for a total of 3 charges.
Dude, this is 3 ED, 3 easy. Yo, do you guys think back before the Dark Knight change, if they had 3 EDs, they could heal a Dark Knight out of Living Dead? I guess my question is do you think during that time, during Leviathan, when that motherfucker was like, man, 2 EDs, too easy. If he had 3, you think I would have lived? I don't fucking think so. I think I would have been dead as shit. I think I still would have been in the grave. Come on, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2! I'm in the grave! I fucking knew it, dude! I fucking knew it! What a fuck! This is me! This is me! I'm in the grave! I'm in the fucking grave! There ain't no way, man. I saw both those fucking Essential Dignity. I was barely half health.
This is definitely an interesting decision, one that I would assume was to balance for White Mage's Tetragrammaton charge, however does leave me with some questions due to the increase in single target healing from their new card system. In total though, this will be a nice change in moments of damage downtime where there's not much use to spending this heal. Now we get into Astrologian's capstone ability, Sunsign. Sunsign is a follow-up off of Neutral Sect that when used further reduces damage taken by 10% for 15 seconds. When Neutral Sect is pressed, you have 30 seconds to use this ability before it falls off. Ooh. This is a pretty absurd change added to Astrologian's toolkit, as Collective Unconscious is still a usable action, meaning Astrologian's total mitigative effectiveness goes up to 20% with this newly added ability, while also simultaneously having the ability to place barriers on the party from the effects of Neutral Sect. I'm not really sure what Square Enix was thinking with this ability, as with current design philosophy, this is pretty overpowered, further increasing the mitigation disparity between White Mage and Astrologian, as Divine Caress is a one-time use. That being said, they could always make healing output more required with mechanics like natural alignment.
Man, I don't think they're going to.
Balanced. The question is if. I think the most interesting thing about—
Yeah, do you guys think they're going to? Man, people said this like for Shadowbringers. Remember this shit? And then they said it again for Endwalker. I don't know, we'll see.
This ability though is that you can stagger it until right before it's about to fall off and cover realistically anywhere from a total of 40 to 50 seconds worth of damage every 2 minutes when combined with Neutral Sect shields if you play your cards right. Wink. Before we sign off, The video, there's one more thing to talk about, and that is its current MP dilemma. As
Excellent jest, my liege.
of the Meteor build, Square Enix has removed 1 draw per minute and also removed Astrodyne. The distress comes from them not replacing anything or changing the current values to its MP regeneration. This puts us at a massive MP negative.
Holy fucking moly, bro. I don't I don't even know what I'm looking at, dude. I'm just gonna listen, dude. This is like stuff that's like beyond my bald comprehension.
Using our current best in slot sets when inputting the values of the Meteor build in, as this equates us to losing upwards to 2000 MP a minute unless we meld an absurd amount of piety. Obviously,
Yo, you know what? I think that piety should just be on every healer piece naturally. Basically, healers would have 3 secondaries on every single slot. So basically, you would never meld piety ever. But basically, every single slot would have a little bit of piety. So like, let's say like the cap is like 200, right? So you have like 200 crit, 150 spell speed or whatever, and then you would have like 80 piety or like 70 piety. Now, that piety would just basically be free, and while it is significantly less than the others, it would be spread across your entire gear set. Would you do the same for tenacity? Yeah. And then that way you would just make every job be able to meld direct hit or have direct hit on their gear.
this isn't realistic and is probably going to be changed, but it's worth bringing up so people can cause commotion and bring attention to it. At a glance, Astrologian and Dawntrail looks like a monster of a healer. Its single target toolkit is absolutely filled to the brim full of utility and healing with the new card system and essential dignity chargers, while also once again having more mitigation added to its already powerful mitigation toolkit. Its already extensive and powerful AoE kit hasn't really changed as well and has only gotten stronger with the addition of Oracle, meaning under the right hands, Astrologian will excel in nearly every field, from healing with the proper timing, to mitigation with its extra mit, to single target healing with its new cards, and damage contribution with its newly increased divination. With all of that being said, the job still feels kind of incomplete. A mess? It feels like they didn't really know what to do with the job, so they just gave it a bunch of extra abilities and called it a day. There's a lot of weird components going on with the job right now, with the excess amounts of tools given to it, the MP economy issues, and the funny possibility that we'll maybe want to prep an Umbro draw pre-pull on some fights, which means we'll have to wait out the 60 seconds, something of which Square Enix has been removing for a while now.
Yeah.
There's also the weird factor of the job still potentially needing lightspeed for its 2-minute window if using the Astral deck opener, making it still one of the most immobile healers if doing so. I'm sure players who like the feel of the other healers will now enjoy Astrologian, but it does suck for the players who liked Astrologian because it was Astrologian. Astrologian has slowly been losing its skill ceiling since the removal of sleeve draw in 5.3, and now it's to the point where it's almost non-existent, giving players who enjoyed that avenue of optimization nowhere to go now. I guess we'll just have to find out in Dawntrail how it really feels.
Okay. So Astro got the Black Mage treatment as well. Yeah, let's watch this one.
So, you're curious about what changed for Scholar in Dawntrail.
Hold on, wait.
Well,
hold on, man. Let me put on my hat for this, dude. Well,
Scholar didn't really get too much removed or changed. Energy drain still exists, which I know a lot of players were definitely expecting to get removed, myself included. And depending on the type of player that you are, this is either a good or bad change, but to me personally, Aetherflow management just adds another facet of optimization to the job, so I am content with it. Our ability
wait, hold on, wait.
drain still exists, which I know a lot
Oh,
of
okay,
players
so
would
it
definitely
still
expect.
exists. Yeah, so it's still there. Okay. Man, didn't they didn't they take away energy drain at the start of Endwalker, and then they gave it back? Or Shadowbringers, sorry. Yeah, Shadowbringers. And then they put it back, so they're like,
and depending on the type of player that you are, this is either a good or bad change, but to me personally, Aetherflow management just adds another facet of optimization to the job, so I am content with it. Our ability to manage said Aetherflow has only gotten better
why are you booing?
with the reduced cooldown to recitation coming, which we'll get into later. The only downfall to energy drain is that Square Enix technically has the balance for the damage trade-off into Aetherflow healing, otherwise it might lead to a weird disparity between its competition. Dissipation has also not been removed or changed in any way, meaning that the fairy is still removed from combat and you still gain 3 Aetherflow as a reward for using it. This is actually a pretty good thing for Scholar, as Dissipation is our core recovery tool when it comes to Aetherflow. It's a very essential prog tool for Scholars and would be devastating to lose it entirely. That being said, I do think it's archaic in design, and I am very surprised it wasn't changed at all. Particularly due to the fact that they now added another tool to Scholar's kit that doesn't synergize well with it, meaning that Seraph, all fairy abilities, and Seraphism are locked under its effects. This leads to interesting decision making for the more hardcore Scholars, but it doesn't bode well for the more relaxed ones. Moving into some of the new actions Scholar.
So basically those two abilities clash because one of them eats your fairy, the other buffs your fairy, right? Sorry, I haven't played Scholar. Like, I'm learning, okay? He's new. He's new. All right? I haven't played Scholar since Stormblood.
Has obtained at level 92, scholars will get Baneful Impaction. Now, after we use Change Stratagem, we will now get a buff that lasts for 30 seconds that enables you to use an ability called Baneful Impaction, which is going to deal a total of 700 potency of damage over 15 seconds on and around the target used on. This is an upgrade for not only adding damage to our burst windows, but also when we are running dungeons or if there are ever multiple targets to attack in raids.
Yo, we thought this was AoE Change Stratagem. Did you guys remember that?
Also being on the off GCD and not on a timer that drifts will make it a very efficient tool for dealing damage to these kinds of adds if the opportunity ever presents itself. Change Stratagem has also been increased from 15 to 20 seconds, meaning it should be easier to land 6 energy drains and a Baneful Impaction under it without requiring Swiftcast. The next cooldowns we'll get are not only a cooldown reduction to Swiftcast at level 94, which lowers the recast time from 60 to 40 seconds, but also a potency upgrade through Tactician's Mastery, which increases the potency of our Biolysis and Broil. It's important to bring up that Ruin 2 did not get an increase in potency, meaning that instead of taking a 75 potency loss for every Ruin 2 we do, we'll now take a 95 loss. A part of me hopes this makes it into the live build, as this gives scholars more incentive to optimize their casts, but I feel like this might be an oversight due to other skills like Macro, Toxicon, and Pneuma also not being increased. Oh yeah, I guess our 2 target damage also got slightly nerfed too, only being a 45 potency gain now. We'll see if these potency—
Dude, this is one thing about the game I think is dumb, is that some jobs will have a 2 target potency gain and others won't. I think that's cringe.
values make it into the live build though. To level 96, we get a trait upgrade to Succor that changes the ability Succor to Concitation. Concitation seems to be a direct upgrade to Succor with very minimal changes to how the core skill works. The base potency stays the same at 200, but the shield portion—
Oh, so just stronger shield.
is increased from 160 to 180%, which equals out to be around 40 potency. This is kind of cool because this also buffs our emergency tactics due to the shield portion being turned into a heal. Now the next one is probably the biggest change to Scholar and Dawntrail. Recitation got its cooldown reduced to 60 seconds. This is an absolutely insane—
What was it before? 2 minutes? Oh, it was 90. Okay. Ugh. Dude, is it just me or are 90-second cooldowns like the most fucking cringe shit? That's like the worst timing, man. Like 90 seconds? That's so cringe. I fucking hate 90-second shit.
fucking change, especially because Sage didn't get anything to compensate for it with. Square Enix seems to think that deployment tactics and Zoe are the equivalent of each other, and they are in theory, but Recitation is also the equivalent of Zoe. But how? Well, when using Zoe on your Creation Prognosis, we take the lowest common denominator value when it comes to planning our healing, which means when using Zoe, it always ends up being a 540 flat potency shield on the party. But when we use Recitation on Concitation, it also ends up being 540 potency. Huh, weird. This is because Recitation guarantees an automatic critical on the shield, which means this is the lowest common value, while Zoe always has to be taken as a non-critical. There's also—
Oh, so Zoe is like stronger. No, don't FP Pong. I'm listening. I'm trying to learn. Oh, Zoe's bad. I'm a casual healer. So why are you giving me shit on trying to fucking learn?
a hidden benefit to Recitation, and that is that it scales off the critical modifier, and as of patch 6.4 best in slot, that takes the base mod of 1.5 to 1.616. This means a Recitation Concitation shield in actuality is 582 potency.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, what happens when Zoe crits? When Zoe shit crits, it's better though, right? Oh, it has to crit on 8 people. Okay. Man, see, this is the thing. Okay, I was understanding it, and you guys were just like, no, FP Pong understands baldly. Like, let me try to understand first.
But let's not actually forget about deployment tactics, as that to Square Enix is actually the equivalent. When looking at deploy in almost all scenarios, it is paired with Recitation, meaning the default value of a non-buff Recitation ad loquium is 810 potency, and a Recitation manifestation is 972 potency. This changes to 873 and 1047 potency respectively when taking—
Versus what, a 540 Zoe? Okay, so yeah, Zoe does suck ass. What the fuck?
into consideration the patch 6.4 best in slot crit modifier. And with the reduction to Recitation being 60 seconds—
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. When you switched to this scene, I literally thought you were zoom hacking because of this stupid fucking fight. For like a brief moment, I was like, oh my god, like my heart kind of was like, oh my god, Momo. My heart, I was like, oh my god. Dude, I hate this fight so much, man. Anyway.
This means for fights that have high hitting AoEs in 60-second intervals like P12 and E12, Scholars can alternate between a high value shield through Recitation Deploy and then Recitation Concitation the
All right,
next.
God bless. You put arrows next to this shit. Okay, so you're just alternating the two things that are in comparison to Zoe. Okay.
Letting Scholars not only manage their tools better, but just straight up give them more mitigation to their already extensive mitigation kit. But the Recitation change is not the end all of why Scholar will probably reign king as the mitigative healer in Dawntrail, as the next ability will also have an impact on that. Getting into their capstone ability, Seraphism. Unlocked at level 100, Seraphism
This is the
an insane
angel
multifaceted
ability, right?
tool. It's a 3-minute cooldown that applies a 100 potency regen over the course of the duration of the skill, which ends up equaling out to a minimum of 700 potency over the 20 seconds. Not only this, but it also completely changes the effects of Succor and Adloquium to Accession and Manifestation, which in addition increases the base potency of the skills equal to a 20% healing increase, but also makes them instant cast for the entire duration of Seraphism. In combination with the above changes, it also reduces the cooldown of Emergency Tactics to 1 second, meaning under its effects, Scholar becomes a healing powerhouse for those 20 seconds, similar to how Neutral Sect works on Astrologian. There is one restriction to the ability, however, and it's that it does not synergize with Dissipation, as it requires the fairy to be on the field to meet usage requirements. As stated prior, this tool has so many ways you can use it.
Yeah, so that's just another way why Dissipation like clashes with the job a little bit.
You can use it for movement mechanics that require healing. You can use it to increase the potency of your shields for one-off damage. You can use it for high outgoing damage moments like Harrowing Hell. You can even use it to handle damage if your co-healer dies in your left solo. Or if there's simply nothing else to use it on, you can just press it for the regen effect. There's just so many ways you can use Seraphism, but the primary use would probably be a buffer to your mitigation and or healing on the move. Seraphism in conjunction with the Recitation change is going to have a heavy impact on Scholar's mitigation potential, as Seraphism is basically a 20% healing increase built into their GCDs, meaning that they can further space out mitigation when using this action with Dissipation, giving them two 20% healing buffs to work with on top of Fey Illumination's 10%. While talking about Seraphism, I think it's very important to bring up Philosophia from Sage. While Philosophia also increases their healing by 20%, its primary use will generally not be for mitigation, but for healing instead, unless mitigative damage just happens to line up with it. Overall, Scholar hasn't really changed too much at all, and instead has only gotten stronger moving into Dawntrail, and has also required some fixes to some of its issues with the gain of Seraphism and the reduced cooldown of Recitation. Scholar will still be a strong pillar of the party through its use of Expedient and strong mitigation, giving the party much more room for error over what its competition can bring. The job's fundamentals also remain a bit clunky, quote unquote, with Dissipation, Fairy Management, Aether Flow Management, and also having no instant cast that we can use for free outside of our dot, that will give players seeking avenues of optimization still something to strive for. I'm excited to see what Dawntrail has in store for us Scholar players, and I can't wait to play it moving forward. In the next video, we'll be going over White Mage, so I'll see you there.
Nods baldly. Look, I understand some of that, okay? Yeah, I was about to say, remember when we laughed at Expedient, man? Only idiots laughed. Lamau, how do you think that a skill on a shield healer that gives movement speed would be bad? Ain't no way. What is this?